We also need reparations to address this historic and compounded burden of economic disparities. Many people say, oh, slavery, it ended. Well, it ended, but then it became lynchings, and then it became Jim Crow, and then it became redlining, and then it became segregation, the war on drugs, mass incarceration, and then this police violence, which is really just the tip of an iceberg. The training of our police has to be changed. Communities need to be put in charge of their police instead of having police in charge of their communities. So, we need citizen review panels that have the power of subpoena and so on. We need to be able to hold perpetrators accountable through investigations of every death at the hands of police. So there are things we need to do about that violence, but we also need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And in my view,
if you take a look at the
hey, what's up, you guys? This is WD3, and this is your Hill Report News Break. As I'm sitting here listening to Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and any other candidate who wants to be president of the United States, the one question that I'm thinking is, who's going to support reparations? Folks have been enslaved, discriminated against, tortured, killed on a mass level, and it's time for payback. Japanese have received reparations. The Jewish people have received reparations, and anybody else who was damaged as a people, except for the Black Americans. And what I'm telling you right here, right now, is no reparations, no vote. I'm not voting for anybody until they promise to put reparations on the table seriously and intending it for it to pass.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore?
Yes. Any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country, right?
So listen, y'all, I just got back to my hotel from a reparations protest that was happening during the DNC here in Chicago. Now, the march was organized by Equity and Transformation, and they were mainly organizing around not only the case for reparations, but specifically around H.R. 40. Now, H.R. 40 is essentially a congressional bill that would authorize for the creation of a commission to study and develop proposals for reparations for African Americans. Now, it's important to understand that H.R. 40 does not give us our reparations per se, but it creates the group. It allows for the establishment of the group to actually do the studies, to do the research, and to make the recommendations and proposals for reparations for African Americans. I'll be sure to do a much more in-depth video, but I just wanted to put this one out real quick in the midst of everything that's going on, just so y'all can know what else is really going on out here in Chicago during the Democratic National Convention. It was super powerful to see Black folks and brown folks holding the Democratic leaders accountable, telling them like, yo, you want our votes, but you ain't really trying to hear our voice like that. So yeah, I'll put some clips in the video here, and make sure y'all check out Equity and Transformation and the dope work that they're doing. And yeah, see y'all later.
I don't want to cut us short, right? Reparations has 5 pillars. 5 pillars. The first pillar is rehabilitation. That is a commitment to rehabilitate our communities, right? Another pillar is restitution. That is essentially a commitment to restore the survivor of a harm to the condition they were in before the harm occurred, right? So that means if you were incarcerated and you came home with a record, we talk about expunging that record, right? That there's another pillar called compensation, which we all know, which is the bag. We want the bag. So everybody say, we want the bag. A very important piece that I think that we forget that needs to be highlighted is a guarantee of non-repetition. It sounds like a lot. Everybody say guarantee of non-repetition. Guarantee of non-repetition. That's a cold ass phrase. I like to say the guarantee of non-repetition. But there's a guarantee of non-repetition.
Criminals under international law. And under international law, crimes against humanity mandates reparations. It's not an if, and, or but. It is obligatory that the criminal engages in reparations.
I have to say that Jill Stein in New York has the best position of any politician that I've heard on this issue. But what they serve up to us year after year after year, every 4 years, is they go dead silent on the reparations question when the election comes around. Not this time. You can have your election. You can have your White House. We don't care. We need to get out of poverty. We need to get out of second-class status. And I'm telling you what, no reparations, no vote. Not in my book.
Donald Trump for reparations. If Donald Trump really wanted to win the presidency, the main thing he got to do to get the black vote is pass a bill for reparations. Imagine if he did that. Like, it'd be like a no-brainer. For one, it'll put more money back into the community, not just the black community, but to all the communities. Let's be honest, a lot of black people are going to go buy cars and buy houses, which is going to uplift the community, uplift the economy. A lot of houses being bought, cars. Of course, there's going to be black people out there that buy jewelry and buy nonsense and buy a bunch of other stuff, but that's going to still put money back into the community, the city, etc. Imagine how many people going.
Hey, I thank you all for taking a news break with me, WD3. This is a hot button issue. This is something, I like the speech that the gentleman gave with the 5 pillars. Definitely don't repeat it again. Repair our neighborhoods, compensation. Come on. Why is it so hard for blacks to receive compensation for hundreds on top of hundreds of years of the cruelest type of slavery, for hundreds of years of kidnapping, human trafficking, every imaginable crime? And this country was built on the back of the slaves. This country's wealth was built on the back of the slaves, the stock market. Everybody's prospering except for the people who are disadvantaged and who were stepped on to get here. I'm telling you what, let me hear what you have to say on this issue. I don't care, Democrat, Republican, Kamala, Trump. I don't care for either one of them until they start talking reparations. What do you think about this? This is WD3, it's your Hill Report News Break, and I am out. Like, comment, subscribe.